Okay, we're back, and we're here to discuss another set of hip-hop albums to see which films they're best associated with. But first, I gotta give a shout out to Brandon Hamaguchi for this post. The Liquid Swords and the Ghost Dog comparison? Perfect. You nailed it, bro. I thought about the Blonde and Moonlight comparison, but I really wasn't focused on R&B albums, so I left that to the side. But you nailed that one too, so salute. But if I think about it more in a hip-hop context, I would say that Tyler, the Creator's Igor is probably a more suitable fit for Moonlight. And that's mainly because it follows a similar storyline with like this suppressed same-sex relationship. But yeah, if we were to include R&B, Blonde would be pretty close. Also want to shout out Ewan, I hope I'm saying your name right. The Reasonable Doubt Goodfellas comparison? Perfect. The song titles alone, bro. Coming of Age, Can't Knock the Hustle, Friend or Foe. Like, what other album sounds more like Goodfellas than this? Let me know in the comments. And while you're doing that, I'm gonna go ahead and get into our first album, which is Eminem's landmark project, the Marshall Mathers LP. If you're smart, you probably know where I'm going with this. Let's see, he has a black and white album cover, he likes to kill blondes, and he's obsessed with his mother. I have no idea who this is, but whoever this person is, there are some similarities of obsession that correlate with this album. It sounds crazy, I know, maybe even a little psycho, but let's move on. Let's talk about a series of albums. Let's talk about Killer Mike and LP's Run the Jewels series. Here we got two veteran MCs, one black, one white, and they've given us 4 action-packed records. Well, 4 so far, who knows, 5 could be right around the corner. With LP's high-octane production, these albums definitely feel action-packed, and this is why the Run the Jewels series is the lethal weapon of hip-hop. This is Riggs and Murtaugh all day. This is one of those crazy pairings that isn't supposed to work, but it does. Like Killer Mike said, he hanging out the window, I hold the wheel. One black, one white, we shoot to kill. So while Lethal Weapon is a great representation for the best hip-hop series of the 2010s, this is a perfect segue to talk about the best hip-hop series of the 2020s, which is currently Nas's King's Disease series. Now, I've heard people try to compare this trilogy to the Godfather Trilogy, which I completely disagree with. There's not one bad record when you look at the King's Disease trilogy. However, when you look at the Godfather Trilogy, Part 3 sticks out like a sore thumb. It is nowhere near the first 2. That'd be like calling KD3 trash, and it's arguably the best one out of the trilogy. So I don't think KD and the Godfather are a pretty good fit, but when we start talking about the possibilities of an Only Built for Cuban Links 3, I start to have issues, because that's the series that I look at as the Godfather. So if that ever goes down, hopefully Raekwon delivers, he normally does, and it's not another Godfather 3. Please. But focusing back on the KD trilogy, right? What films are best suited for these albums? Now you might think I'm crazy, but hear me out. Looking at the KD trilogy, KD 1 is the weakest. Still a good album, but it's sitting at the bottom. But then we get KD 2, and it's a clear improvement from KD 1. It's almost like Hit Boy had cracked the code and Nas was unleashed. It was like he just put a chokehold on the game. And then we get KD 3, and I'm comparing it to KD 2, and I just don't know which one's better. On KD 3, Nas calls out some legal issues he was having with his former producer Pete Rock on the song 30. So there's definitely a little hint of civil war going on. So with all this lined up, I gotta call the King's Disease trilogy the Captain America trilogy. Now I know what you're thinking. What about Magic? Do you see anything for Magic since it came out at around the same time of the KD trilogy? Well, maybe. I got something, but I'm not completely sold on it. But before I get into it, make sure to share and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the video so far. It really does help us grow. Alright, let's talk about it. Remember, this is all subjective, so I'm not completely sold on this point I'm about to make. But if I was going to compare Magic to a film at this particular point, we would have to shift our gears to a different Disney franchise. And this is why I would compare Magic to Rogue One. And here's why. Like Magic, Rogue One is a callback to a classic project, whether we're talking about the original Star Wars or Illmatic. For all those Nas fans who want Illmatic again, this is just a reminder of how nasty this guy is. Meet Joe Black, bitch. It also came out alongside a trilogy, and just like Magic, it's the best one out of those 4 projects. I would argue that Rogue One is the best full-length feature film that Disney has dropped since they acquired Star Wars, and I really don't think a lot of people are gonna argue with me on that. But you let me know what you think in the comments. As for Forrest Whitaker, take your ass back in the house, man. It's ugly outside. Peace.